watching. In this video, I'm going to give you a basic introduction to curved forms in Google SketchUp, the web-based app. I'm going to go through circles and the other arc tools, and then hopefully you'll be able to create a 3D form through a stage of kind of drawing it out and getting the shape and then extruding it in some way. So we've got a series of different tools that can help us draw curved forms. The first one is under the rectangle tool, there's actually a circle tool, okay, which will help us draw a circle from the center out, and you can set the radius through the measurement bar on the bottom right. So for example, 150. I can also, before I even do that, when I click the circle, before I even set the center, I can set how many sides it's going to have. Because when I zoom in, it's going to have a series of straight edges that create that arc or the circumference of the circle, and I can add more detail or reduce. Okay, so let's say if I go 12, enter, and I do 150 again, you can see that it's far less refined than this circle here. If I go escape and I go 48, so double that, I go enter, and it's giving me that feedback that this is going to be 48. I can draw out the size. It's snapping to the radius that I've already used through that inference machine or engine. Oopsie, I was meant to use my hand. Control Z, Command Z. Oh, let's try undo. There we go. You can see that refinement comes from increasing the number of sides. So that's one thing that I really encourage you to do, especially if you're creating something that requires that level of detail to change the number of sides on your circle. Of course, you can then push-pull the shapes up, and you can see again that this curved surface has much more, a much smoother surface than the 12-sided circle. One thing that you'll know now is you can't push and pull a curved or smooth surface, only a flat face of one kind of dimension can be pushed or pulled. So just keep that in mind once you're starting to maybe potentially cut something out from that. It starts to become complicated. All right, moving on. After a circle, you could cut that up and stuff, but we can also just draw arcs with, I'm just going to extend this line out. What you want to do for the next couple of tools is draw a set of straight lines on your own file so that you can have a go with each of these yourself, because in the doing you are going to learn rather than just following my instruction. Watching. Okay, so you want to have something like that, a series of some lines so that you can try out these arcs. So these arcs really need to be in relation to something else. So we're starting with a line to give us that feedback as to what we have drawn. Okay, so I am going to zoom in and let's see what we can do with this. Oh, let's just get this back out here so that we can see. So this is the first of our different arcs, and we have essentially the center of, oh my gosh, sorry people. We have a point, we draw another point, and then we get our arc. And we are literally just drawing an arc. There is no kind of attachment to that center at all. You might be using this to put an arc between two straight lines or join up a series of arcs. We could go from here and try to connect up to this point, but you may find a purpose. I can't think of something that I'm going to use this for yet, but have a play, see what you can do with it. Know that you can just draw a singular arc at a set radius. If you're trying to do a tangent between two parts, that will be helpful, but you still need to have and know the center. You still need to know the center of the circle. Okay, you can see I've done a quarter of a circle. I can do an eighth of the circle. I can do half of a circle, choosing my angles. Okay. Then we have got our next tool, which allows us essentially to draw half a circle. It can draw more of a circle though, so it would be helpful if potentially you had a gap in something and you're wanting like a dip or a depression in a surface, and you're going to put a little curve in there. So you don't have to have a full semicircle, it could just be a slight dip, and it would be like that. Kind of like in a desk, you might have a little tray at the front for your pencils. You could be putting that into that profile. Okay. Then it will fill in, be a surface, and you can also set that you want that curve, once you're starting to draw it, that if you want it to be vertical, you can do that as well. So if we go enter, or I'll rotate around so you can see that voila, it has gone to that axis. Okay, pretty nice. Let me demonstrate that little kind of curved tray concept that I was talking about. So if we go push, pull all the way to the back, kind of like that, nice little kind of groove, you could be using that tool there. So it doesn't necessarily require the center of a circle. Now this tool here is far more about kind of the gaps between a space. So here I've kind of preempted the curve. So I need two starting points and kind of a depth. And you might figure out a way to use it. So I've got the depth, the tangent, and then the end point. Okay, so let's show you that one more time. It's the starting point, or my end point, the tangent in which it's going to have to connect to. You might have marked that out already, and then the end point. Okay, if that line is going to be closer, for example, let's draw a line here so that we've got a gap and another line. Delete that, use this tool again. We've got so it's not necessarily going to, it's thinking about 3 points, and it's going to draw a circle that would fit with it between those. So this center point is kind of set out from the kind of beginning, whatever that like length might be. Yeah, so it might be a funny tool to use. I can't think of a application for it at the moment, but now you know. now you know it's something that you could find a purpose for. This tool is very similar to this this tool here, the like quarter circle, but it literally draws you the closed circle itself. You don't have to add anything to it. So for example, voila. I start in the center, I decide where it's going to start, and voila. Okay, so it's quite funky. It's going to be super helpful for something like drawing an S. Okay, you can see that I have used it to start my S here, and then I continued to use it. I varied the my inner edges to kind of figure out how it was going to fit together, to give the thickness, and then I tidied up my shape, and then I push pulled through. So have a go with one or two of those tools to try out drawing a letter that is curved or an emoji, to have a play around with these different arc tools and the circle tool itself, to see how you could apply this to more complex modelling in your own projects.